Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and on today's video we're going to talk about celebrity fragrances. This is an interesting topic for me because I was looking at what people actually review on YouTube. It's been a while since I've actually watched other fragrance influencers talk about fragrances and to see what they're reviewing.
That's suspicious.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's weird.
It kind of seemed to be the same 4 or 5 different products that were being repeated over and over and over again. Some of those being celebrity fragrances. And I'm like, maybe I am a little bit out of date with celebrity fragrances because I grew up in the early 2000s and obviously in the 2010s. And remember that fragrances that were celebrity were considered to be cheap and kind of raunchy and kind of lower status, if you will.
The ghetto.
And it seems to be that trend has changed quite a bit. So we're going to start off with who the original fragrance or celebrity fragrance was. And every resource I looked online stated that Elizabeth Arden was the first one to make a successful actual celebrity fragrance. It's actually not true. One of the first ones to pioneer this was Coco Chanel with number 5. And since then, obviously, it's changed a little bit because Chanel is obviously a fashion house now. Back then, it was more about her name and her likeness and her reputation versus her actual couture and her legacy that we now know and love for the fashion house, obviously. So a little bit different. But yes, if you want to go into what actual celebrity, actress, or your movie star, or singer, songwriter, or athlete launched the fragrances for celebrities or made it successful, it was Elizabeth Taylor in 1987. With the fragrance name of Passion. She obviously did launch one that was going to be very, very successful, which was the fragrance of White Diamonds. And that was launched in 1981. White Diamonds has been around for a long time. I think everyone's mom has probably worn this fragrance, and it really does remind me of J'adore. J'adore reminds me of a fragrance that took inspiration from White Diamonds and the success of the actual smell itself. Not quite the same, but they do kind of take inspiration from each other, or I should say the Dior version takes inspiration from White Diamonds. You didn't know Elizabeth Arden. Back then, I think they still do this, but back then they were the OG, the original to do actual celebrity fragrances. They have done Britney Spears' fragrance line. They've obviously done Elizabeth Taylor's fragrance line, and they are very much known for doing that. They still manufacture certain fragrances, but they're kind of on a steep decline essentially after they have been bought out by Revlon. Early adopters of the celebrity fragrance craze in the early 2000s were people like Cher and Jennifer Lopez and Naomi Campbell, believe it or not. And it started to kind of get saturated. In the beginning, it was cute. Everyone was launching it. Britney Spears with Fantasy was the following actual celebrity to make it big in this industry. She made it very successful. It was obviously during a very kind of dark time for Britney Spears in her life. She had shaved her head. She had gone into the conservatorship. And it was a little bit of a difficult time for her, but her fragrance line was booming. Everyone wanted Fantasy. Everyone wanted everything that she'd launched and touched when it came to fragrance, and it's still very successful to this day. It's actually known to be one of the most successful fragrance lines for celebrities out there on the market. Since then, we got a lot. And I have a whole list here of fragrances that were launched. So we have quite a bit here since the 2010s, and I remember back in the day whenever I went into Macy's, these fragrances were carried there. They had a Lady Gaga Fame fragrance, they also had a Madonna fragrance, they had a Beyonce fragrance, and then they kind of just pulled them out. The One Direction fragrance, the Harry Styles fragrance, the Justin Bieber fragrance, all of them were at your department store. All of them were considered to be luxury or, higher end. And then they kind of disappeared. Why is that? Why did the big downfall for celebrity fragrances occur? Well, it's a mixture of reasons. It's mainly due to saturation. There were so many different fragrances out there. Every celebrity and their mom, kind of like how cosmetics and skincare brands are today. Every celebrity wants to have their own cosmetics and skincare line out there, or hair care line, Beyonce.
Beyonce, whoo!
And also, whenever they were doing these fragrances, a lot of these actual celebrities didn't have a lot of input when it came to their actual fragrances.
Can I give it to these guys here? Take it.
They kind of just said, I want this, and the smell kind of came out smelling like bubblegum and strawberries, and they're like, oh, I love it, it's cotton candy.
You want a treat? Yes. You want one? Yes. You want one? Yeah.
And then they would put their name on it and sell millions and millions of dollars of these products. But because we started using synthetic ingredients, we started making it cheaper to obviously make these fragrances affordable. Because the main thing about these fragrances is that they had to be affordable. No one in their right mind was going to pay a Chanel price point for a celebrity fragrance. And that's just since the beginning of time. But obviously with time progressing and the ingredients changing ever so slightly, these fragrances started getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Unfortunately, this was the demise of the entire celebrity fragrance industry. And since then, we're kind of seeing a resurgence with actual celebrity fragrances. And this is what kind of got me prompted into this topic itself. We're seeing celebrities like Billie Eilish. I have seen like 5 different reviews on Billie Eilish's fragrances because she does have a couple, I believe. I have seen a ton of craze behind the Ariana Grande fragrance collection, in particular Cloud. It is sold, it is loved, it is admired, it is a dream product for every teenage girl and every person that watches TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or any social media platform. And I kind of couldn't help but think, when did this change? When did fragrances by celebrities become popular again? Well, it's a mixture of things. It's social media first and foremost. Obviously, with social media, everyone is connected a lot more closely together. It's also due to the fact that fragrances by celebrities actually have a little bit more input when it comes to the actual creative process. When it comes to packaging, when it comes to smell, when it comes to ingredients, when it comes to the vision and the marketing and the name for the actual product. Something that is very different from the earlier fragrances like Fantasy by Britney Spears. It had nothing to do with her. And the smell couldn't really connect anything into her actual life and her actual product and her actual music catalog.
I really do like Pepsi.
Really? What's your favorite kind?
Do. My favorite kind of Pepsi's Pepsi.
Versus, for example, Ariana Grande launches a song named God is Woman, and she launches a fragrance now called God is a Woman. And this trend itself has kind of reawoken, especially with other brands, but there are so many different ones that have not been successful. For example, Fenty by Fenty Beauty or Fenty by Fenty, which is a fragrance that was supposed to be of her, I don't know if to call it couture line or ready to wear collection, her fashion label that kind of has disappeared. And it was very expensive, it smelled good, but there was so much craze behind it. Everyone wanted a bottle, you couldn't find a bottle. Then they made the packaging a little bit cheaper, a little bit more affordable, if you will, and people just lost their minds for this fragrance. And I don't know, what do you guys think about this entire celebrity craze on these fragrances? There are so many different ones that have been launched. Like, for example, since the celebrity craze for fragrances has reawoken, we've gotten in 2010 era, we got Beyonce Heat, we got Katy Perry Purr, we got Justin Bieber Someday, we got Fergie Unspoken. I've never heard of that fragrance. I've never even seen it, if that makes any sense. In 2010, we got Lady Gaga's Fame. We got Taylor Swift's Wonderlust or Wonderstruck. In 2010, we got the entire Nicki Minaj collection. Does anyone remember this? It was a very popular fragrance line. They looked like mannequins, if you will, kind of like what Billie Eilish did, but less simplistic. It was more sculptured on her and her hairdo and, you know, her staple color pink. And yeah, I mean, we also got Fantasy Twist. We got Jennifer Aniston's Jennifer Aniston. Then we get into the 2015s, which is the era we start to see these fragrances kind of become a little bit more sustainable. They start to become a little bit more inspired off of the actual musician or the celebrity's lifestyle. The ingredients are quote unquote a little bit better as well, but they're still affordable. There's still going to be fragrances you can buy. So in 2015, we get Katy Perry's Mad Potion. We also get Kylie Minogue Love me some Kylie Minogue. Darling Eau de Parfum. I've never seen this fragrance, but I mean, I'm sure it's good if it's Kylie Minogue. We get Kim Kardashian's Crystal Gardenia. There was a huge craze for Kim Kardashian's and KKW's fragrances in the early 2010s or 2015 era. And she just kind of pulled the plug on all of that, kind of milked the machine and printed all that money she needed to print out and then just stopped it. It's really fascinating to watch. We also got Beyonce's Heat Seduction. Beyonce recently did launch another fragrance and it's also been a big flop. I think it's because Beyonce doesn't talk about her product, doesn't wear her product. She doesn't really do a whole lot of promo for it. She just kind of launches it and is like, that's all I gotta do. Give me my check. And it's not really how it works, unfortunately.
You guys are just jealous because all of my friends that know me tell me that I remind them of Beyonce. So you can.
So what do you guys think about the evolution of celebrity fragrances? We have obviously talked about fragrances that started this entire trend. Thank you, Elizabeth Taylor.
Child. Anyway, so.
And we have talked about fragrances that kind of just flopped and continue to flop, unfortunately. And it's a very fascinating topic for me in particular because, again, I have kind of been out of this loop, even though I am a fragrance channel, or some people say fragrance influencer. I hate that word. But I do get to speak about niche, more designer, more higher end products. And lately, it seems like that line is being blurred with high end products as well as celebrity products because everyone compares, for example, Baccarat Rouge to Cloud by Ariana Grande, which I also find that another comparison is Burberry's Her, which is done by the same perfumer. Anywho, this entire category of fragrances is becoming a lot more popular. It's becoming a lot more prevalent, and it is going to stick around for the long haul. I can guarantee you that. So don't forget to comment down below what you think about the entire celebrity craze when it comes to fragrances. Don't forget to also give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more fragrance related content. Love you guys. I hope to see you on the next video. Until then, take care.